Thank you for listening to News Radio 710 WNTM. Here with Ed Ahrens and Virginia McNeil O'Brien of McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group. You can find them online at malfinancial.com anytime you have questions about them. If you want to find out about their lives, there's a great video they have for you at malfinancial.com. If you want to call their office, the number is 251-666-5000. That's 251-666-5000. Before we get started here, I need to tell you that Ed and Virginia are investment advisor representatives with AE Wealth Management. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, which is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Now, when you come in from McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group, we always start things off with inspirational thoughts. Ed Ahrens.
Uncle Henry, this is a good one. These are just some thoughts. First of all, laugh whenever you can. Apologize when you should. Let go of what you can't change. And this next one I love, kiss slowly. Forgive quickly, play hard, take chances, give everything and have no regrets. Life is too short to be anything but happy.
You know, I had some palpitations when you talked about kissing. But those are good inspirational thoughts. They really are. Now, also, we've come to expect jokes. The worst joke.
Uncle Henry, there was a new pastor. He had just graduated from Bible school and had been contacted by this church to become its pastor, and he was so nervous when he had his first sermon that he almost couldn't get anything to come out. So as he's preparing for his next week's sermon, he contacts the former pastor and asks him, he said, how can I relax a little bit more? And the older minister said, next Sunday, it may help if you put a little vodka in your water glass. And he said, after a few sips, everything should go smoothly, and I'll be visiting your church next week to see how things go for you. So the next Sunday, the young minister puts the suggestion into practice, and he's able to talk up a storm. He felt great. However, after the service, the former pastor pulled him aside and gave him some more advice. He said, first of all, next time, sip rather than gulp. And he said there are 10 commandments, not 12. And there are 12 disciples, not 10. And we do not refer to the cross as the big T. And the recommended grace before meals is not rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub, yay, God. We do not refer to our Savior Jesus and his disciples as JC and the boys. David slew Goliath. He didn't kick the crap out of him. And last but not least, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost are never referred to as Big Daddy, Junior, and the Spook.
Wow. Those are your worst jokes, at least for now, here on the program. Now, I want to ask you about cashback credit cards, because I see all these ads for all these different credit cards, a lot of them cash back, a lot of them offering all these perks. For somebody like me, what I look for in a credit card is usually interest rate. I want to know, is it really a good deal, the cashback cards, and are some of them better than others?
Look, Henry, some are better than others. And when you begin to look at the possibilities of changing or getting a new credit card because it has these incentives built in, make sure you read the fine print. Because, for instance, there's a card that offers 5% back on anything that you purchase. But there are so many things that are tied into getting that it's not worth what you have to do to get the 5%. It's kind of like there's one that you had to make so many purchases every week on your credit card. And we remember the story about a lady that went to the grocery store and she had like 25 different items. and she paid for each one of those items individually with her credit card. And
A lot of
she was
fun to be
asked-
behind her.
Yeah, she was asked, what are you doing? He said, well, I got to make all these points on my credit card so I can get the money back deal. I think after evaluating all of them, there is one that offers a 2% cash back that doesn't have any requirements. You can use it for buying groceries. You can use your card for entertainment, travel, whatever, and you're going to get 2% back on everything that you do. But again, be very careful. Make sure you read all the fine print so you know what happens or what you have to do to get the cash back.
Well, and another note on those kind of credit cards, you usually get what you pay for. You know, the cards that have annual fees, people sometimes don't realize that these cashback or airline rewards or stuff like that, they a lot of times when you sign up for one, the first year there's going to be no fee. You know, they say, oh, we're going to waive the fee, and they don't. You have to read the fine print as to what it is. You don't necessarily, the fee isn't out there in big bold letters. So then when you get into year 2 and you've probably had 0 interest rate if you're carrying a revolving balance, which is a big thing too, but you're going to be hit with an interest rate usually, and it'll depend on your credit score a lot of times as to what your interest rate is, because it can vary, sometimes as high as 26%. Which is a lot of money every month, depending on what your balance is, if you carry a balance. And so when you have cards that have a $125 annual fee, those are usually your mileage cards. You're usually going to have some sort of annual fee on, because you're paying for that, for that reward. You're paying a premium for it. There's some cash back or airline rewards. I know I get offers in the mail all the time. I'm sure lots of people do. You get them in the mail. I think Chase sends me an offer every single week. If I had a dollar for every credit card offer I got. But there's some, I know American Express is always asking me to upgrade. And the annual fee on the upgraded card is like $450 a year just to have this card. Now, you get all these perks. You get like a companion ticket on Delta Airlines or something like that, and you get, access to the American Express lounge in the airport, which they don't have in Mobile or Pensacola.
For some people it might be worth it, but for a lot of people it wouldn't be.
Correct.
I guess it depends on how you use the card.
Yeah, exactly. If you're somebody that travels internationally and I have an American Express because there's a lot of different things travel-wise that go with it. So that's why I have that American Express card. And pay off the balance every month and things like that, because there's sometimes when you don't want to, for instance, when I'm online shopping or ordering something online, I don't ever use my debit card. I use my credit card, because there's certain protections that the credit card guarantees you for fraud and things like that. So there's just lots of different things like that to watch out for as far as the annual fees and things like that. And knowing that it seems kind of backwards, but the worse your credit score is, usually the higher your interest rates are going to be.
Now, you mentioned the fees. So is it possible that for some of us, paying a fee might be good if we're getting the kind of perk we really want, if it matches up with our spending habits?
Yeah, for sure. It depends on what the card is and what it's doing. That's a big thing. It also depends on if you're carrying a revolving balance or not. That's a really important thing. If it's something that you've got some debt on credit cards, and a lot of people we'll just transfer balances, because a lot of times if you get a new card, they'll have a 0% interest for the first 12 months on balance transfers. They're trying to get you to move your balance of, let's say you have a $5,000 credit card debt, and you're over here on this whatever card it's on over here, a Discover card, and then you transfer it over to a Chase card, and then you're over and you're getting the 0% interest rate, but that's hurting your credit every time that you do it, potentially. Every time that you change the transfer, and you're not ever actually paying it off. You're just delaying that debt is all that you're doing. So depending on how long, so when you have an annual fee on something like that you're getting charged an annual fee and you're paying all this interest, it really adds up. If you just have a $100 recurring balance and you have a 25% interest, you're paying $25 to carry that $100 balance. So, and you have to pay the interest each month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do credit cards, is that a financial product that changes frequently? As far as the, I know that in your industry, there are a lot of things that, for example, with different insurances or annuities, they change constantly, that there are different new and improved products. Do credit cards also change a lot where they'll offer new deals, new things like that?
Well, the cash back is a new thing. It's
relatively new,
not
yeah.
been out for years like, typical credit cards. I don't think they change rapidly, but they are always looking for a leg up to get over the competition. But then the thing that winds up happening is somebody offers a cash back, and then somebody else hears about what they're doing. It's part of another credit card company, and they come out with something a little better to get one up on the other guy. So there are changes that take place regularly, but not wholesale.
We're going to take a break and come back with more. You're listening to McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group here on News Radio 710 WNTM. You can call their office at 251-666-5000. That's 251-666-5000. The website, malfinancial.com.
Mercedes-Benz is a call like no other. We're offering leasing specials to fit any budget, only at Mercedes-Benz of Mobile. If you thought you couldn't afford a Mercedes, think again. Mercedes-Benz of Mobile has your lifestyle and budget in mind. Come and visit our showroom on Dolphin Street or go to mbmobile.com for details. When I say affordable, I really mean it. Only at Mercedes-Benz of Mobile.
If you want a good night's sleep, you need a great mattress, and I can tell you where to find better mattresses at lower prices, and that's at Sleep Center. Right now during the Independence Day time of year, Sleep Center has an incredible any size event. Any size mattress, one low price with Sealy mattresses. For example, you can get a plush any size for $199. You can get a pillow top Sealy mattress any size for $299. Now, when I say any size, I mean twin, full, queen, or king. Memory foam Sealy mattresses, any size for $399. And other great deals are available. Stearns & Foster select mattresses 10% off, plus a free box spring, and the Tempur-Pedic. Save up to $500 on Tempur-Breeze mattress sets. Sleep Center, 3 locations, 2 in Mobile, 1 in the McGowan Park next to Verizon Wireless, also 1 on Airport Boulevard in the Esther Oak Shopping Center, and on the Eastern Shore in Spanish Fort in the Eastern Shore Center. Look for Sleep Center online at sleepcenternow.net.
Let me surprise you with an interesting fact. You ready? Of all the media options today, AM/FM radio reaches the most people each week. Yeah, you heard me right. Radio is the leader, AM/FM. 93% of Americans listen to AM/FM radio every week. That's bigger than TV, newspapers, even Google and Facebook. If you're a marketer and you need to improve your plans, remember, radio.
I'm Uncle Henry, a customer of Heads Heating and Air Conditioning. I've used them for maintenance and for when my old system went out on me. Last year, I asked them to turn to the experts, Carrier, and replace my old natural gas furnace with a Carrier 95% high-efficiency unit. And so I had a cozy, warm home last winter with lower heating bills, and I'm looking forward to a cool home this summer with that new system. Carrier, high-efficiency natural gas, and Heads Heating and Air Conditioning make a great team. Did you know they've got financing available at 0% interest for up to 60 months? You can't beat 0% on a new system. What a great combo. Carrier, natural gas, Heads Heating and Air Conditioning, and financing at 0% interest for up to 60 months. So turn to the experts, Carrier, and call Heads Heating and Air Conditioning. The number is 251-653-7873. 251-653-7873. See if you qualify for that great deal on 0% interest.
It's heating and air conditioning, where 3 heads are better than 1.
Back here on News Radio 710 WNTM with Ed Ahrens and Virginia McNeil O'Brien. McNeil, Ahrens, Lambert Financial Group, malfinancial.com. You can watch. We're on Facebook, live video available on the News Radio 710 WNTM Facebook page. Now, when you come in every few weeks, I like to ask you about where we are in the economy. Can you give us an update on the economy and the market?
Well, Uncle Henry, the markets are still up. We've been in a bull market now for almost going on about 8.5 years, which is important. And people say, well, yeah, that's been great. We love it when there's a bull market because our 401ks are going up, our investments are going up. And economy tends to, when the market is up, the economy tends to flourish because people have more wealth and are, willing to spend more money. The only problem with that is that an average bull market only lasts about 4 years, and we're over twice that now. So that kind of has people a little bit, and us as well, a little bit skeptical of how far up can we go. The S&P hit another record this week. And is back down a little bit off of that record, but it's sort of, we were kind of on a roller coaster and we started going up, and now we're kind of sitting up here and sort of teetering up there. When is it gonna have a correction? Is it gonna have a correction? Is it just gonna keep on going? History tells us that it'll have a correction, but we don't have that crystal ball. Ours isn't polished up. Ours is a little foggy on when that's gonna.
And if a correction will come, you don't know when, and you don't know how big of one, right?
Right, and it usually is the longer that it goes on this sort of. People are calling it an artificial. It's being artificially inflated. A lot of that has to do with. Most people know that the banks right now, in your checking and savings account, you're not earning any interest. If you just have cash in the bank, you're hardly earning anything. In fact, sometimes your fees are more than what you're even earning at the bank, sometimes just depending on what the circumstances are. But the average person can't really earn any guaranteed interest rates anywhere. It's hard to find those these days because interest rates are so low. They're creeping up. In fact, the Fed announced last week that they're raising them 1/4 point, but they're creeping up slowly. But when the interest rates are so low and it's hard to get some guaranteed interest really anywhere in the marketplace, people have to put money into the market. And as this bull market has been going up and up and up, we've had more people put in more money because people see Joe Schmo sitting next to them making money and good returns in the market, and so they want to be able to do that. And so you have more and more people investing in things that are like high dividend paying stocks and things like that. So you have a lot of these utility stocks that people say they're overinflated. They're up so high and they're still paying dividends and they shouldn't be valued this high. And so there's just certain different sectors of the market. Oil actually is down. You'll notice that you have a break at the gas pump these days.
Right.
I think Costco, I usually try to fill up at Costco. Costco is definitely under $2 a gallon right now, $1.91 or something like that. I think it was the last time I filled up. So, if you're averaging about $2 a gallon, I would say probably around the coast, that's pretty good. We talked about, I think last time, gas tends to go up in the summer because people tend to travel more in the summer. People are going to the beach or going to, on little family vacations. So they're buying more gas.
And yet, I'm sorry to interrupt, but yet we've seen the oil prices down.
Right.
Right. This is not only have we had this market go on and on the way it hasn't before. Now the oil prices are reacting differently than we've ever. This is going to be very interesting for you and your industry.
Oh, yeah. See, we're already seeing an impact of the decline on oil prices because the last few days the market has been headed south.
Right. And so you have sectors like oil, and you have different sectors performing differently, but you have sectors like oil that are just sort of sitting there, not really doing it. I mean, oil's down in general, but it's just sort of sitting there, not really doing anything right now. And then you've got, the other parts of the market that are, we had another record, this week, but the other parts of the market are doing pretty well. So it's really, historically, there's nothing to compare it to. When you see this market go on for this long, when you see certain sectors performing well while other sectors aren't doing well, things like that, seeing oil go down in the peak months that it's usually going up, even if, production is up. So it's a little bit confusing, and there's a lot of stuff that you try to compare to the history books on what's going to happen. You try to you try to, when you're looking to the future and investing, you try to look at history to see if you can sort of replicate, this time back in 1987, we were kind of in this, and let's compare it to where we are now or whatever it might be. And it's hard to do that now because back in 1990, you didn't have Twitter. Back in 1990, the average person couldn't Google what oil was doing. Even somebody that doesn't really know about what the market's doing gets on yahoo.com and they see that the market's up or the market's down. They might not really know what that means, but they think, oh, well, I should put more money in my 401k account then. Or I should do, I should do. So you have.
And did we have day trading in 1990 or?
I think we probably did have day trading.
Oh, yeah.
But it was not nearly as sophisticated as it is now. Because day trading was they were just watching a ticker symbol go, and they would have to call it in.
Oh, okay.
Back in 1990.
All right. Well, that's yes, it's far different now.
Yeah, right. And so you just have different. You just have so much of a different. You have so many different things impacting the market and what it does, and every So it's just a very, very interesting. But locally, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the economy when we look at it. There's been a lot of buzz about Amazon this week nationally, and there's been a lot of buzz about Amazon this month locally with the Amazon distribution center opening up in Mobile, which is huge for Mobile. That's going to create, I don't know the stats on the amount of jobs, or the number of jobs it's going to create, but just having that on the map here for such a global company, that's huge. Of course, the buzz this week has been that Amazon bought out Whole Foods, which has kind of caused a little turmoil in the retail markets as far as Walmart, all those different stocks that it's kind of turned that sector upside down. Retail, grocery retailer stuff like that. Been interesting to see because there's been the buyout of sort of the smaller, more, and so that's what you're seeing a little bit of in the market lately, and just a little bit of sort of confusion going on there. But $13 billion, not too shabby of a deal.
No, well, we've seen how Amazon has revolutionized. You mentioned retail, certain aspects of retail, like booksellers,
right?
Other businesses being eclipsed by Amazon with major changes, trying to adapt to Amazon.
Right.
What does this hold for the future of that huge grocery industry in the country?
Right. Well, I was talking to a friend here this week. She called me because she said a couple of months ago, she said, yeah, I wish I'd bought Amazon back when it was $80 a share, and now it's close to $1,000 a share. I don't know what it's trading at today, but and we were talking about it. I said, with the new distribution center, we might have drones go into Whole Foods to pick up your grocery and bring them to your door. You never know what's going to happen. So
well, we had the news. Publix announced a few weeks ago that by 2020 or 2022, they'll have same-day delivery from every location.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've tried it. I'm a big Amazon person. I have an Amazon Prime account. I don't order everything from Amazon, but it makes it very efficient to order some things off of there. And I tried the new Walmart pickup grocery. Have you tried that yet?
I have not tried that yet.
Well, I'm not putting this, is not a plug for Walmart or anything like that. And I know actually Shop Local, Greer's is doing the same thing. I haven't tried it at Greer's yet. I'm very interested to do that. I want to do that in the next week or two. But I tried it at the Walmart because that's very close to my house. There's a neighborhood Walmart on Government Street, and it was a breeze. You have to order it the day before, from what I'm told, from what I kind of figured out. You have to order it from the day before. You put in your grocery list, and you pull up to the side. You check in. There's an app on your phone, and you say, "I'm on my way," when you're about to leave to go there. And they were literally waiting on you outside. You pull up. You open the back. I mean, I felt bad for not tipping this person because they just went and did my grocery shopping for me. All I did was pull in, sign the ticket, you pay for it online, and then you're on your way.
So at Ahrens, that's the future.
The digital future.
The digital future. Well, we're up on a break. We have to take a time out, but thank you for the update on the economy. We're going to get into other things here in a moment after we check weather and news. You're listening to McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group, malfinancial.com. Telephone number 666-5000. That's 251-666-5000. Back with more in just a moment.
Radio for real men.
Surprise, surprise.
The Rush Revolution rolls on. Weekdays at 11, News Radio 710, WNTM. Gulf Coast weather from Local 15 and the Chemco Metal Buildings Weather Center.
It is Friday Eve, the weekend so close, and it looks like we're still going to be dealing with some soggy conditions. For your Thursday, an 80% chance of wet weather. We'll top out at 84, and by the way, we are under a tornado watch until 1 p.m. Lows tonight in the 70s, and for your TGIF, a high of 87, also a 40% chance of wet weather. I'm Kelly Foster for Local 15 News and this iHeartRadio station.
This report is brought to you by Always Money. Get up to $500 fast with Always Money Cash Advance. Simply write a personal check, or they'll print one for you, and get the cash you need until your next payday. Bank account required. Use payday advances responsibly.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-224-5353. That's 1-800-224-5353. 1-800-224-5353. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Take care of your skin. See Dr. Thomas Bender at Advanced Dermatology and Skincare Center. Dr. Bender sees patients in Mobile, Daphne, and Bay Minette. Find out more online at advanceddermclinic.com.
Locally owned and operated, Delta Disaster Services is the Gulf Coast solution for minor mishaps to more serious setbacks.
Hello, my name is Matthew Morris with Morris Insurance. When we have a customer call after a pipe breaks or a tree falls through their roof, I want them to know that everything will be taken care of and to give them peace of mind. I'm confident that Zach and his team at Delta Disaster will be there right away, even in the middle of the night.
Mitigation to reconstruction, Delta Disaster is there, servicing Mobile, Baldwin County, Pensacola, and Biloxi.
Friends, are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, you could be paying too much. Now you can take Sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, for just $2 per tablet. $2 for a 20-milligram tablet, saving $40 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering Sildenafil to your doorstep. Go to marleygenerics.com. That's M-A-R-L-E-Y, marleygenerics.com. Or call 1-800-578-1640. That's 1-800-578-1640.
Did you know only 20% of job seekers get an interview? In many cases, that's because companies use software to screen applications before anyone ever sees your resume. At Express Employment Professionals, we're your local resource to help you land that new job. Visit your nearby Express office today to speak with real professionals connected to the available jobs in your community. Express has 18,000 jobs available each week and never charges job seekers a fee. Visit expresspros.com to find the office nearest you. That's expresspros.com.
For more information about contests on this station, go to newsradio710.com/rules.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. Details about a Senate Republican health care plan are being made public today after being revealed in a private meeting of Republican senators this morning.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is sharing what he calls a discussion draft with colleagues.
And it will be posted online and for everyone to review.
While differences with a House-passed measure are expected, Republican senators have stated shared goals, like rolling back taxes and Medicaid expansion and giving more flexibility to states.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. Hundreds of buildings in London share a similarity with one that burned last week, killing at least 79 people.
One theory as to how the fire spread so quickly is that decorative cladding on the outside may have fueled the flames. The government here now saying that around 600 other buildings feature similar panels.
Fox's Simon Owen in London. Fox News. We report, you decide.
We're back here on News Radio 710 WNTM with Ed Ahrens and Virginia McNeil O'Brien. McNeil Ahrens Lambert Financial Group. You'll find them online at malfinancial.com. If you want to find out more about Ed Ahrens and Virginia, you can go and watch a video about the people that work at McNeil Ahrens and Lambert Financial Group. If you want to call their office, 251-666-5000. That's 251-666-5000. Before we go any further, we usually get a second worst joke. Do you have another worst joke?
Uncle Henry, this is truly a worst joke. There's this blonde who's flying on an airplane on her way to Toronto, and she just gets an idea that she's going to move from economy class up to first class because there's an empty seat. So she walks on up and sits down. Well, the stewardess comes up to her and says, "May I see your ticket, please?" And she notes that it's economy class, and she says, "I'm sorry, but you can't sit up here. You have to move back to where you were sitting." And the blonde replies, "I'm blonde, I'm beautiful, and I'm going to Toronto, and I'm going to stay right here." So the flight attendant goes up to the cockpit, knocks on the door, and the pilot opens the door, and she tells him the problem, and he says, "Okay, I'll take care of it." So he goes back to the blonde, tries to explain because she only paid for economy, she can't sit in first class. So the blonde replies again, "I'm blonde, I'm beautiful, I'm going to Toronto, and I'm going to stay right here." So the co-pilot goes back to the cockpit, tells the pilot, and he says, "Okay, I'm married to a blonde. I speak blonde." So he goes back to the blonde, whispers in her ear, and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry," and gets up and goes back to her seat in economy. And the flight attendant and co-pilot are amazed, and they ask him, said, "What did you say to make her move without any fuss?" He said, "I told her first class isn't going to Toronto."
It has been a while since I've heard a blonde joke.
Yeah. I'm married to one. I have to be careful.
Be very careful, Ed Ahrens. So here we are, McNeil Ahrens Lambert Financial Group, malfinancial.com. And there is a word that I don't hear as often as I used to, and that's the word pension and pensions. Do people, now there's still some people out there that are getting them.
Yeah, people that not necessarily, there's not as many, I'm sure there are a few out there, but there's not as many companies now that are using what is called a pension plan is sort of a slang for it. A defined contribution plan, or excuse me, a defined benefit plan is what is technically what the ERISA guidelines call it. A defined benefit, which means you sign up to work with a company. And for instance, RSA. Now, if you sign up, if you work under RSA for the state or Alabama, they don't offer. I think they might still offer one. For employees signing up, I'm not sure on that one, but I know that
457. Plan.
Yeah. So, but RSA has one. Lots of different companies like Exxon, Chevron. Not necessarily. I don't know if they're still offering to new employees so much, but back in the day, if you went to work for them in the 80s and 90s, and really even into the early 2000s, they still offered it, and so you were sort of grandfathered in. And again, I don't know those companies specifically. I don't know if they're still offering them to new employees or not, but just as an example. What happened is that it put all of the retirement dollar sort of weight on who that was going to be on the employer. So the employer was responsible for putting all of that money away into the pension plan for you at some later date. So you work for a company for 30 or 40 years, and you have this money built up here in the pension plan that said, okay, now for the rest of your life, we'll pay you $2,000 a month or whatever it was. It usually depended on how long you worked for this company, what kind of money you made while you worked there. But when that happened, so the employee never had to worry about what was going to happen when they retired. They never had to worry about where was your paycheck going to come from, because the paycheck was going to still keep coming from the same place it had always come from. And you didn't have, there was not as much burden on, there was not really any burden on the employee to put away, for sizable amounts for retirement. What happened started happening in the mid-2000s is that pension plans, people started living longer and longer. You know, when somebody retired back in 1990, they were only expected to live maybe another 15 or 20 years. You know, if you retired at age 62 and you lived to be age 80, that was pretty normal life expectancy. Well, now think about all the people that are living to age 100. Look at how many people are living for so much longer, the volume of them.
Right.
So when you started to see people living longer and longer, you started to see pension plans that had a lot of strain on them. Started to see a lot of strain on the pension plans, and pension plans get in trouble because what they were promising you was that they were going to pay you X amount of dollars for the rest of your life. And sometimes, depending on what the pension plan, how it was structured, and what kind of options you had, it was going to pay you for the rest of your life and your spouse's life. You know, so you had different things going. So you had all this money pulling out. So let's say they set aside $500,000 for you, and you lived to age 95. Well, you might have pulled out $700,000 when they really only had planned on you pulling out $500,000. And this was happening a lot. So you had the employers saying, okay, we've got to do something that's a little bit different. So that people started moving to that was a defined benefit plan. And so employers started moving to defined contribution plans, which is where you see so many more 401ks that puts the burden on more of the employee. Now, you usually see with a 401k that you'll have a match usually from the employer, but you'll have a higher salary getting paid to the employee, and they have the choice to put it away or to put it, or to take it home. So that's where you see that move, because it's a shift. So you know that if you retire today, you have a 401k here with iHeart.
Right.
Okay, so if you retire today, iHeart is not responsible for you once you retire. Now, they've put money in and matched your 401k plan, but they don't have to worry about if you run out of money. If you go and spend all of your 401k money, they're not responsible for keeping you afloat after that.
Absolutely.
So
the responsibility is on the earner, the person
who's
earning.
It's on the employee, exactly. And so
it kind of ties into how back in 40, 50, 60 years ago, people would go to work for a company and stay there.
That's right.
Most of their adult life, very loyal to the company. That doesn't happen as much now. People jump from job to job.
Because you can bring your benefit, you can bring that 401k with you.
Yeah, the other big thing that has a factor on the pension plan is the current interest rate being used to calculate the benefit. So if the interest rate is 8% and they have to have $500,000, as Virginia alluded a minute ago, then that will cover the benefit payout. But now what happens if the interest rate drops to 4%, which it's been doing? We've been in a very low interest rate environment. And we see a lot of companies, as a result of just the change in the interest rate, having something called an underfunded pension plan, which means they've got to take more assets, commit them over to the pension plan.
Well, we hear about this being a big problem in the public sector.
Right.
People working for governments and getting pensions.
Right, and there's different plans are set out are all different. And so what happens a lot of times is when you have a pension, let's say you're somebody that's retiring and has a pension plan, usually a lot of times now you'll have a 401k and you'll have a pension benefit with some companies, especially the bigger ones. And sometimes you'll have the option to take the lifetime payout from the pension company, and again, they're responsible for making sure that stays funded. Or sometimes you can roll over the lump sum. Again, your pension that you're getting for life is based on, it's like Social Security. It's based on the amount of money that's been put in for you. And, and so that's where they derive this monthly payment you're going to get for the rest of your life. Some companies don't let you do the pension lump sum rollover. Some will. It just depends on the company. And so you can either roll over that pension lump sum to an IRA, and it could be in the hands of you to, invest that money properly and spend it properly. Or you can leave it there. We have more and more people, and it just depends on each situation, but more and more people opt to roll it over because they trust themselves more than they trust a company for it to be underfunded, because there is so much underfunding going on as far as that's concerned. And so it just depends on the pension plan, but we deal with a lot with that. So we encourage people to look at that option if you're a year and a half out, we encourage people to really look at that pension benefit, and we sit down with people a lot and talk about that.
Yeah, another thing about the pensions that people say, well, I understand that it's backed by the government. my retirement plan, my pension plan. It's called the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. But they will only guarantee up to 1/3 of what your originally projected pension was supposed to be. So that's another risk factor involved, even thinking about, in the back of your mind, well, it's insured, so I don't have to worry about it. Well, if the company goes belly up, or if they run into some hard times, and they start having to make adjustments to the pension plans, or they can't make the payments that they're supposed to, then the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation will step in. A bunch of the airlines have gone through this, like Eastern Airlines. When Eastern Airlines closed up shop, my dad's monthly retirement went from about $800 a month down to about $175 a month because it was guaranteed by the PBGC. So there are a lot of variables that are involved in pension plans and guaranteeing the benefit, supposedly, that you don't have to worry about if you can move that money to an IRA, as Virginia was talking about.
We have to take a break. We'll have more in a moment with our guests from McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group, malfinancial.com. You can call their office at 251-666-5000.
First house, last house, mid-south, court that side, porch, cul-de-sac, mid-south, court that brick house, townhouse, don't pay, court that dockside, poolside, outside, court that corner store, warehouse, mama's house, court that.
Tired of painting your home every 4 to 5 years? This is Kevin Mamahat, president of Mid-South Coatings. Better than paint, more durable than latex. Mid-South Coatings is the ultimate alternative to traditional paint. And with our lifetime warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again, guaranteed. If you live anywhere in the Gulf South, call for a free estimate. And since Mid-South Coatings is much thicker than paint, your home will look like it's just been freshly painted forever. So before you paint your home with traditional paint or any product, call Mid-South Coatings for a free estimate.
Call 251-272-4440. 272-4440. That's 272-4440.
Red, white, big and blue, any color of the net, anyway you're at, court this, good south, court that.
Don't do what I did and run out. If it's working, don't quit. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished?
You've got to feed them right for life.
Dynavite is nutrition.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynavite.
No. When I get to about 3/4, when I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynavite, oh no, I've got a couple more scoops. It's time to place my order. Dynavite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of NomoFlea free.
NomoFlea flea spray kills fleas safely with no poison.
Because it's a polypeptide protein molecule made from
vegetable oil.
Try NomoFlea.
Free this week at Dynavite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Uncle Henry with news and comment. Are you upset with your cable TV service? Turns out you're not alone. I'll tell you about it after this for SAD Healthcare. SAD Healthcare reminding you that your health care is your choice. When it comes to home health, ask your doctor for SAD, locally owned, family operated. It's spelled SAAD, sadhealthcare.com. Consumer Reports, the magazine and website, conducted a survey and found that people are upset across the board with their pay TV providers. In fact, most of the major companies that you've heard of got poor scores when it comes to value and customer service, and most people in the survey felt like they were not getting good value for their money when it came to pay TV. So with most of the companies that provide pay TV getting low satisfaction scores, what can a person do? Well, let me suggest more radio. Hello? You'll find more of me at newsradio710.com.
With so many music apps out there, ever wonder which one's the most popular in America? The one that lets you listen to live radio, custom radio from your favorite artists, and download unlimited music. Oh yeah, and the one that's free. If you guessed iHeartRadio, you'd be right. And you wouldn't be alone. Come join millions of music fans who rated iHeartRadio the #1 free music app in America. Download the free iHeartRadio app or listen at iHeartRadio.com.
We're back with Ed Ahrens and Virginia McNeil O'Brien with McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group. MALfinancial.com is their website. You can go to their website. You can also call their office at 251-666-5000. That's 251-666-5000. Now, in an earlier segment this morning, when I asked you about an update on the economy and the market, you explained to me again that the market has been up, generally speaking, for an unprecedented number of years now, so that you know that a correction is likely at some point. You just don't know when, and you don't know how big a correction. How can someone protect themselves from this? Because a lot of us get to a point in our lives where we can't wait to grow the money again. We want to be protected. So what can you do to help protect from a correction?
Uncle Henry, one of the things that we start out with is finding out how much risk a person can tolerate in their investments, in their retirement plans, and so forth. Particularly as someone gets closer and closer to retirement, we call that being in the red zone, the risk factors should decrease because they won't have as much time to make up for losses as they would if they were 25 or 30 and just getting started. But as a person begins to move into the red zone, we look more and more at secure types of investments that have very little risk, if any, to them. Because we know that when a person reaches retirement age and they stop work, then whatever they have is all they're going to have because they're not going to be working anymore.
Right.
So we want to try to protect that. One of the things that we use, as Virginia talked about earlier, are some very, very strong companies that pay dividends on a regular basis. We call those dividend aristocrats. And for a risk part of somebody's portfolio, we move more toward those things than we do growth-oriented types of investments.
So if you're going to have some risk built in, you've identified a very a high, you're going to get something for that risk.
That's
You're
right.
going to maximize whatever you can get by doing that.
Like AT&T, currently their dividend right now is between 4.5% and 5%, and there are a number of other companies that are very strong financially that we don't worry about on that respect that also pay good dividends. And now you're moving into the deaccumulation phase when you get into retirement. Before retirement, you're accumulating money to retire on. And when you hit retirement age, we begin the phase called deaccumulation, meaning basically you're spending the money you've accumulated while you're in retirement. Now, one of the greatest fears that we're told that retirees have, and this comes in from a number of different surveys that financial institutions and insurance companies have done, one of the greatest fears that retirees have is running out of income. So in designing the retirement portfolio for them, that's one of the first things we want to make sure, that we have income that lasts as long as they do. And when we run our projected sheets out for income, we run those out to at least 90 to 95. That's beyond most people's life expectancy today. But now that we're, again, facing getting closer to retirement, what can we do with money that we have in our 401ks that's probably invested in the market to keep that 401k from becoming a 201k like they did back in 2008?
Right.
And so what we use are some annuities that use stock market indexes to determine gains and growth, but we give up a little upside potential to have no downside risk. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't make any interest one year because the market or the index was down that year. But then we add something unique to that, and it's called a rider that guarantees an income stream for life, but until you start drawing an income, it guarantees the interest rate growth on the income account. And that current rate is somewhere between 6 and 7.5%. Plus, there are some bonuses thrown in. Now, once we get that person set up in there, then at some point in time when they decide, I'm going to retire, and we start taking an income, another benefit that comes with that is something that helps with activities of daily living if you can't perform them, paying somebody to do that for you. And it actually doubles the monthly income for a period of 5 years, and then it reverts back to what it was if you're still living at that time. Now, your employer's 401k plan may allow you, before you retire, to move some money out of the plan under what we call a non-hardship in-service withdrawal. And we just transfer the money from your 401k into an IRA, which gives you a lot more flexibility.
But you're still able to partake in the 401k.
But you still participate in the 401k, even though we've moved some money out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have lots of techniques to have build in a big defense against these corrections.
Very definitely. With the correction potentially that's coming, that becomes more and more important.
Yeah, even if you're not retired yet, or you might, so many people get into their 60s, and we find this a lot, and they say, one of the first questions we ask is, how long do you see yourself work? How much longer do you want to work for? Some people come in and say, all right, I want the exact date of when I can retire. Tell me when I can retire with everything that I've accumulated. And some people say, I just want to make sure that I'm ready in case something happens or something changes, but I really like just to keep working until I can keep working, because they're just not people that want to retire. They just are not people that want to sit around. So a lot of times people are just wanting to make sure that their investments, and a lot of times people's biggest asset is their 401k, especially as you get older and older. That's usually the thing they've kept, been putting money in for the longest, and it's accumulated. And so that's something that they really worry about.
We're out of time. You can find out more online at malfinancial.com, or you can find out more by calling McNeil, Ahrens, and Lambert Financial Group at 251-666-5000, 251-666-5000. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.